Hello student, welcome to all of you. This is the second chapter of your English Vistas book and the chapter name is the Tiger King. In fact, this is the further story of the lesson because we already saw in the previous video what was the introductions of this story. So let's begin. You may think that Crown Prince Jung Bahadur was thrown into a quake when he heard the word tiger. That was exactly what did not happen. As soon as he heard it pronounced, the Crown Prince gave a deep growl. Terrifying words emerged from his lips. Let's tiger beware. So, the main point that the writer says that the reader may feel that the Tiger King trembled upon hearing the name of a tiger. But actually, that did not happen. On the other hand, as soon as the Crown Prince Jung Bahadur heard the name of a tiger, he made a deep growling sound and spoke terrifying words. He said that all the tigers should be beware. This account is only a rumor, rife in Pratibandhapuram, but with hindsight we may conclude it was based on some truth. So, in fact, so far the writer says that this story is a rumor that was heard by him in Pratibandhapuram. But if we look at the happening, account of the past time, then we could conclude that these rumors were based on the true happening. Crown Prince Jung Bahadur grew taller and stronger day by day. No other miracle marked his childhood days apart from the event already described. So here the Crown Prince Jung Bahadur grew taller and shorter, in fact stronger. As the days passed by, there were no other miracle in his childhood except this happening in the above line. The boy drank the milk of an English cow, was brought up by an English nanny, tutored in English by an Englishman, saw nothing but English film exactly as the Crown Prince, all the other Indian states did when he came of age at 20. The state which had been with the court of wards until then came into his hand. So, as a boy, as a childhood, the whole situation, in fact, he drank the milk of an English cow, was brought up by an English governess, nun, yeah, maid, got lesson in English by an English man. In fact, the teacher who taught him was an Englishman and watched. In fact, he was watching moving the English movie also, just like the crown princes of other Indian state did. When the Crown Prince Jung Bahadur turned 20 years of age, the royal estate, which had been in the custody of the court of wards, was given to him. But everyone in the kingdom remembered the astrologer's prediction. Many continued to discuss the matter. Slowly it came to the Maharaja's ears. Means all the people who lived in the kingdom were aware of the astrologer's prediction. Many of the people discussed this prediction and one day the King Jung Bahadur came to know of it. There were innumerable forests in the Pratibandhapuram state. They had tigers in them. The Maharaja knew the old saying, you may kill even a cow in self-defense. There could certainly be no objection to killing tigers in self-defense. The Maharaja started out on a tiger hunt. So, the Pratibandhapuram state had many forests which had a number of tigers in them. The Maharaja was aware of an old saying that you could kill even a cow in order to protect yourself. So he felt that the cow, which was considered to be a holy animal, could also be killed by a Hindu in order to save himself. Then no one would object if he killed a tiger in order to protect himself. So Maharaja Jung Bahadur started out on a tiger hunting expedition. The Maharaja was thrilled beyond measure when he killed his first tiger. He sent for the state astrologer and showed him the dead beast. He was very excited when he killed the first tiger. He called for the state astrologer and showed him the dead tiger which was hunted by him. What do you say now? He demanded. Your Majesty may kill 99 tigers in exactly the same manner, but the astrologer drawled. But what? Speak fair. Your Majesty may kill 99 tigers in exactly the same manner, but the astrologer drawled. But what? Speak without fear. But you must be very careful with the 100th tiger. What if the 100th tiger was also killed? So, he was very excited when he killed the first tiger. He called for the state astrologer and showed him the dead tigers. The king asked the astrologer for his comments, and the astrologer replied that the king could kill 99 tigers in exactly the same way as he had killed the first one, and he stopped speaking. The king encouraged the astrologer to continue without fear. So the astrologer said that the king had to be very careful with the 100th tiger that he hunted. The king asked him that what would happen if we killed the 100th tiger so. Then I will tear up all my books on astrologer, set fire to them, and I shall cut off my tuft, crop my hair short, and become an insurance agent. The astrologer finished on an incoherent note. So the astrologer replied that he would tear all his books of astrology and set them on fire. He continued that he shall cut off his hair and would change his profession, because now astrologer would not remain a good astrologer anymore. So from an astrologer to an insurance agent he would like to become. From that day onward, it was celebration time for all the tigers inhabiting Pratibandhampuram. The state banned tiger hunting by anyone except the Maharaja. A proclamation was issued to the effect that if anyone dared to fling so much as a stone at a tiger, all his wealth and property would be confiscated. So, from that day, the tigers in Pratibandhampuram had a nice time, as the kingdom banned tiger hunting by anyone except the Maharaja. No one was allowed to kill a tiger other than the Maharaja himself. The law was so strict that an official announcement was made that if any more was caught, anyone was caught killing a tiger, even throwing a stone at a tiger, his wealth and property would be taken away by the kingdom of Pratibandhapuram. The Maharaja vowed he would attend to all the other matters only after killing the 100 tigers. Initially, the king seemed well set to realize his ambition. So, the king of Pratibandhapuram took an oath, a promise, that he would attend to all other matters related to the kingdom only after he had killed 100 tigers. In the beginning, it seems that he would achieve his target very fast. Means the way he had taken the oath, it was appearing that he would definitely complete his target. Not that he faced no dangers. There were times when the bullet missed its marks. The tiger leapt upon him and he fought the beast with his bare hands. Each time it was the Maharaja who won. So it was not that he feared the tiger. Means he had also scared with the fear. When the king went on his hunting expeditions, he faced danger many times. At times his bullet missed its target and the tiger jumped upon him. The king would fight with the tigers barehanded, but each time he won and killed the tiger. At another time, he was in danger of losing his throne. A high-ranking British officer visited Pratibandhampuram. He was very fond of hunting tigers and fonder of being photographed with the tigers he had shot. As usual, he wished to hunt tigers in Pratibandhampuram, But the Maharaja was firm in his resolve. He refused to permission. I can organize any other hunt. You may go on a boar hunt. You may conduct a mouse hunt. We are ready for mosquito hunt. But tiger hunt, that's impossible. So the writer tells us another instant key account when King Jung Bahadur was about to lose his throne. At high-ranking British officer visited Patibandhampuram. He was fond of hunting tigers and he wanted to get himself photographed with the dead tigers. He wanted to hunt tigers in Pratibandhampuram also. So the writer tells us another account related with the king that King Jung Bahadur was about to lose his throne because he had put himself in a danger situation because a high-ranking British officer visited Pratibandhampuram. He was fond of hunting tigers and he wanted to get himself photographed with the dead tigers. He wanted to hunt tigers in Pratibandhampuram also, but as the Maharaja had banned killing tigers by any other person, he did not give permission to this British official also. He offered him to go on any other hunting like mouse, yeah, even a mosquito hunt, but he refused to arrange a tiger hunting for this British officer. So, student, now you can understand what was the determination of the king that he had ignored, he had denied to arrange the tiger hunting for this British officers also. The British officer secretary sent word to the Maharaja through the Diwan that the Durrai himself did not have to kill the tiger. The Maharaja could do the actual killing. What was important to the Durrai was a photograph of himself holding the gun and standing over the tiger's carcass. But the Maharaja would not agree even to this proposal. If he relented now, what would he do if other British officer turned up for tigers hunt? So the British the British officer's secretary sent a message to the Maharaja that the Durrai means leader, the British officer, that is the official himself did not want to kill the tiger. The king could kill the tiger, he only wanted to get himself a photograph with the dead body of a tiger. So student, sarcasm is the dead body of the tiger. But the king did not agree to this proposal also. He said that if he relaxed his decision, if he ordered to do so and allowed the official to get himself photographed with the dead tigers, then other British officials would also come to Pratibandhampuram in order to fulfill their wishes of hunting of a tiger, and this was the thing the king did not want it at all because he had took oath that he would definitely kill all the tigers. Because he prevented a British officer from fulfilling his desire, the Maharaja stood in danger of losing his kingdom in itself. The Maharaja and the Diwan held deliberations over this issue. As a result, a telegram was dispatched forthwith to a famous British company of jewelers in Calcutta, sent samples of expensive diamond rings of different designs. So, as the king had refused a British officer from fulfilling his wish, he was in danger of losing his kingdom. The king had discussions with his ministers over this issue. The king sent a telegram to a famous British company of jewelers based in Calcutta. He asked them to send samples of expensive diamond rings of different designs. Some 50 rings arrived. The Maharaja sent the whole lot to the British officer's good lady. The king and the minister expected the Durrai Saini to choose one or two rings and send the rest back. Within no time at all, the Durrai Saini sent her reply, "Thank you very much for your gift." In 2 days, a bill for 3 lakh of rupees came from the British jewelers. The Maharaja was happy that though he had lost 3 lakh of rupees, he had managed to retain his kingdom. So, the jewelers sent 50 rings and the Maharaja sent all of them to the British officer's wife. He wanted to please her in order to make good the damage that he had done by refusing the official from going on a tiger hunt in his kingdom. The king had expected that the British officer's wife would choose one or two rings and return the others, but she just sent a reply saying thanks for the gifts and she kept all the rings. After 2 days, the British jeweler sent a bill of 3 lakhs rupees for the 50 diamond rings they had sent. The Maharaja was happy that he had saved his kingdom for a sum of 3 lakhs rupees. So, student, the next story will be, the further story will be covered in the next video. Till then, you revise all of this.